The instructions for this lab I decided to do via audio to see, or actually videos, to see if that helps make things clearer. I'll kind of walk you through what I'm looking for. Um, what you have is you have an Excel spreadsheet that has a really simple calculation for how much does a bass trap suppress the sound at any particular frequency. So here I've got the variable that you can play with is the bass trap depth. So you're free to change this to whatever you want. It's in centimeters, right? I mean, if you do it, if you get kind of ridiculous, you're going to go off the chart a bit. Um, but this is the variable you have to play with, right? Now here are a set of frequencies, 20 to 220. Based on this speed of sound, I've calculated the wavelength for that frequency, and then the phase difference that the returning wave will have, the reflected wave will have from the incoming wave at the entrance of the bass trap. And from that, I calculate this sort of naive suppression factor, which is just the sign of the phase difference. That's all it is, right? Um, so this gives us, and here, 1 means there's no suppression. 0 means it's completely suppressed, right? So this means the bass trap's not doing anything, and this is where the bass trap is. And here you can begin to see, when I was talking about, oh, you go up and down a certain amount, and that's where you're going to find that crossover point for different traps, right? So here's your goal, right? The crossover point you're looking for if you're putting traps adjacent to each other is this 50% mark, right? So 0.496 at 144 hertz. I can look down here. I can find it. If I go down, right, 0.496, 0.5. So somewhere between 143 and 144 hertz is the 50% crossover point. Okay. So what I want you to do is use this um, to set up a set of 3 bass traps that all go from one to the next, right? So that they're all going to cross over at the same spot. So if I have this one, it's crossing over at 50 hertz, basically, right? And I'd want you to do a little bit better than me in terms of guessing where that is. But let's say it's at 50 hertz. Well, I want to make one that is up from that, right? Okay, 150. So this is getting close, getting close. 145. So now we're looking at, I've got one I'm really close to where it's crossing over at 50, right? And so the 200 and the 145 would be a set, and then I'd have to find the next one up um, and calculate where it would be. Okay, so this is your goal, to set up a series of 3. I'm going to give you a starting frequency, and you're going to give me the whole set of frequencies I'm going to give you, pardon me, a starting depth. No, I'm going to give you a starting frequency. I'm going to give you a starting frequency. You're going to have to calculate the depth that would be, right? So let's say at 200, right? At 200, I'm going to give you this frequency right here, which is 43, right? 43 hertz. How do you calculate that? Well, you got to remember, if you've got your frequency, let's say 43 hertz, then the wavelength is speed of sound divided by your frequency, right? And then the bass trap, trap depth is a quarter of a wavelength, right? So, and this is meters, where that's centimeters. And so trap depth, centimeters, is just 100 times that, right? So you can see where I'm going to give you a frequency. You're going to have to figure out the depth. And I'm going to want you to string together 3 bass traps heading up from that frequency that meet the criteria for that crossover point being the 50% point. All right. Good luck with this lab. I hope you enjoy playing around with this.